Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. My name's Ali and I'm Frugal Granny, and today it's Magazine Monday, and as promised I'm going to make cinnamon buns for you. I'm actually filming this on Saturday, which is Swedish National Cinnamon Bun Day, and I know this means that you're going to end up with your cinnamon bun recipe a bit late, but there's no rules about not eating cinnamon buns all winter long. I am going to follow a recipe that's been published by Brontë Aurell, who's the proprietor of the Scandinavian Kitchen coffee house in London. I'm just going to show you her book. This is the book that I'm going to use. It's called the ScandiKitchen and it's by Brontë Aurell, who is one of the proprietors of the Scandinavian Kitchen coffee shop in London. When I worked in London, I used to go there quite regularly for an open sandwich and to buy Scandinavian goodies in their grocery section. Let's just have a quick look at the recipe. The recipe is called Real Cinnamon Buns, but it refers you to another recipe to actually make the dough and the syrup topping. So I'm just going to flip over to that page for 1 minute. The page needed for the dough is on 150, which is under the recipe for vanilla and cardamom knots. You can also find the cinnamon bun recipe online on the Scandinavian Kitchen website. I will, if I can, put the link in the description of this video. So basically what I'm going to do to start with is put the dough together, and while the dough is rising I am going to make the filling and the syrup. The syrup topping is also here on this page, but the filling for the cinnamon buns is over on this page. Now, unlike possibly American cinnamon buns, which I really have no experience of at all, you can either do Swedish cinnamon buns rolled up like that, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can make them into a knot. Now, if I can, I'll show you how to do it both ways. It's not as difficult as it looks, and either way, they taste really good. The only thing that you might have trouble finding is the pearl sugar that is sprinkled on the top of these buns, and they do sell that at the Scandinavian Kitchen, and that was one thing I stocked up on before I left London and headed north. I've still got some pearl sugar, it doesn't go off, and we will be using that. You can order it through their online grocery store, and I will add at this point that I am not sponsored by the Scandinavian Kitchen, and I really do hope Brontë doesn't mind me using her recipe to show you how to make cinnamon buns, but it really is the best. The first thing I'm going to do is put the dried yeast into some warm milk and get it started off. You need to use 13 grams of dried yeast, which I'm going to use 2 sachets of the supermarket dried yeast, which is actually 14 grams, but that won't hurt, and 250 mils of whole milk. I don't have whole milk, so I am just going to use the semi-skimmed, and in the past I've found it doesn't really hurt that much, other than perhaps you don't have such a rich cinnamon bun as you might otherwise. If you want, you can use an ounce of fresh yeast, and some supermarkets that have in-store bakeries will actually give you fresh yeast if you ask for it. Unfortunately, I don't think my supermarket has got an in-store bakery anymore. Like a lot of supermarkets, they're now shipping in the ready-made bread and just warming it up or baking it off on site, so there's no actual making on site anymore. I need to find a supermarket where they still do that. I think Morrison's might. Anyway, just let me get this sorted. So I'm going to put the 250 mils of milk into a saucepan. Then just take the top off the 2 packets of dried yeast. These are 7 grams each, so I'm just going to use them both. I don't have any scales that will weigh something as small as 13 grams, so we're just going to do it this way. And then I'm going to heat it very, very gently on the top of the stove until it's just finger warm, so body temperature, and then leave it to start for 10 or 15 minutes. The milk's warm enough now. Yes, I probably could have heated the milk up before I put the yeast in it. Yeah, as long as I don't kill it, I don't think it matters which way round. And apologies to those who don't appreciate me sticking my finger in the saucepan. I'm now going to get the flour together and put the dough together. I'm going to need 80 grams of melted butter, so I'm just going to weigh that out quickly. Okay, so 80 grams of butter. I'm just going to melt that quickly. I'm going to melt that quickly in this jug in the microwave, and I shall be just putting that one back in the fridge for now. Right, so there's the 80 grams of melted butter, which I'm going to leave to cool slightly on the stone work surface. I've also got my cup of coffee, which I always like to cook with a cup of coffee, and now I need about 400 to 500 grams of strong flour. So I'm using bread flour for this, and I'm going to weigh out the 400 grams. I'm not going to put all of the flour in right now, just so that I've got about 100 grams left to adjust the consistency of the dough later if I need to. 1 teaspoonful of salt and 2 teaspoons of ground cardamom. I've actually ground my own cardamom because I find getting ground cardamom ready prepared is not always easy. So if you do need to grind cardamom, you want the seeds from green cardamom pods. You can sometimes buy the seeds depodded, and then you can grind them fresh, and in actual fact if you do that you really get the best flavour. You also need 1 beaten egg. The yeast's beginning to froth, so I'm just going to pour that into the bowl. Scrape that round. And then the butter goes in. Start the dough hook mixing. I'm just going to stir the cardamom and the salt into the flour, and start to add that little by little. About half a beaten egg. We need to keep this beaten egg, the other half, for brushing the top of the cinnamon buns when they're cooked. So that's the extra 100 grams of flour that I'm going to add in to make the dough a bit less sticky as we go. going to leave that to knead now for 5 minutes, and while that's happening I will start to prepare the filling. Right, I'm just putting together the filling for the cinnamon bun. So there's 80 grams of butter in there, unsalted, a teaspoonful of plain flour. I'm now going to put in a tablespoonful of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of cardamom, and then I need to put in some vanilla essence. A teaspoonful of vanilla essence. And I've also got in here 80 grams of white sugar. And then I'm just going to mix this up off camera because I just think this could be a little bit of a mess. So in there we've got 80 grams of butter, a teaspoonful of plain flour, a tablespoonful of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoonful of ground cardamom, and a teaspoonful of vanilla and 80 grams of white sugar. The dough's now been mixing for 15 minutes, so I'm just going to lift the hook up, take that off the hook, so to speak. So there's the dough. It's still a little bit sticky. So I'm going to add, this is some of the remaining flour, I'm just going to mix that in to get it away from the sides of the bowl. The best thing is probably this, that's better. Okay, so there's the dough. It's not too sticky, it's nice and soft. I'm going to put that in a warm oven now, and by that I mean less than 50 degrees C, until it has doubled in size, and then we will roll it out. I've popped the bowl in a warm oven, and by that I mean less than 50 degrees C, and I've kept the door open to keep the air circulating, and I will leave that there until the dough has doubled in size. In the meantime, I'm going to stir together, mix together the filling and just wash up a bit. The dough's now doubled in size. I've also beaten together the ingredients for the filling. So now what we're going to do is roll this out. I need to get this to be a 40 centimetre by 50 centimetre square. See how we go. As I said, there are two ways to roll your cinnamon buns. One is to spread the filling all over it, roll it up, and then just slice it and put the swirls on their end to prove. The other way is to make strips and twist them. So I think I'm going to try and do it both ways just to show you. I wouldn't normally do this, but right, I think what we'll do is we'll put the filling on first. Okay, so I've got the filling on there now, so I'm just going to cut it in half so that we can do half one way and half the other way. So this half I'm going to roll up. And I'm going to cut that into 8. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. Okay, that's the first lot. Now with the second lot, I'm just going to fold that in half. Let's get that as square as I can be. And then I need to cut that into 8. So I'm going to do that with a knife actually. Just excuse me 1 minute. Just roll that a bit flatter. That's it. So that's what you do with these, you just pick them up, twist them, and then just tie them in a knot, basically like that. Maybe I should have twisted that a bit more. Let's just try and twist it a bit more. Twist it a bit more and tie it in a knot. And tie it in a knot. I'm probably making a bit of a pig's ear of this. I have not done it for a very long time. Whoops, there you go. See, I did make a pig's ear of that one, because I said I was. Okay, so there you have the knotted cinnamon buns. I'm just going to put these back in the warm oven to do a second proving, and then I'll show you them before I turn the heat up to bake them off. The 50-degree oven with the door slightly open, and I'm just going to leave those to prove, and while that's happening I'm just going to do the next round of washing up. The cinnamon buns have been proving in the very low oven for 30 minutes. You can see they've really grown in size. I'm going to brush them now with beaten egg while the oven heats up to 200 degrees C, and then I will be putting them back in there to bake.
I'm sort of really gentle with them because I don't want them to collapse on me.
I'm just going to wait for the oven to warm up. My oven warms up really quickly, and as soon as it does I will be baking those until they're ready. Then we will glaze them and sprinkle on the pearl sugar. I've already got the glaze ready. It is a syrup solution. There's 3 tablespoonfuls of golden syrup in here and 6 tablespoonfuls of water. They're going to need to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes, and the oven needs to be 200 degrees C. I'm just going to brush them now with hot syrup. I hope you enjoyed cooking those with me. They're not the most straightforward thing to do. There are various bits that you need to sort of get your ducks in the row with before you start, like the filling, getting the yeast sorted out, getting the flour mixture sorted out, getting the filling sorted out, and getting the glaze sorted out. But once you've got that all done, it can all come together quite easily. Just a reminder that the recipe is on the Scandinavian Kitchen website, and it's in Brontë Aurell's book ScandiKitchen. I will put a link in my description if I can find it, if it's still there on the website. But I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. It's not my recipe, it's Bronte's, but it is foolproof. It always works incredibly well, and I just wish you could smell my kitchen at the moment. It is amazing. It just smells heavenly, absolutely heavenly. Well, anyway, I think that's probably enough for Magazine Monday today. I think it's enough to take in. So I'll see you on Thursday for Coffee and Catch Up 22. Can you believe it? We've nearly been doing 6 months of coffees and catch-ups. Hopefully Thursday I should know my supermarket pay for the last 4-week period, and hopefully I can get my credit card cleared, and know where I stand going forward after the rather rough week I had last week. Thankfully things are calming down a bit now, but you know, I'm not going to feel 100% happy until I've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's and we can move on. Anyway, thank you very much for stopping by again. The dogs are fast asleep, they're not doing terribly much. We can't go out today because it's still blowing a gale and raining. So I think we're going to go upstairs and watch some of my favourite lawn care videos. I still haven't caught up with all of the new things that will have come out yesterday for the weekend. I hope you have a really good week, and if you have time to make cinnamon buns, let me know how you get on. All for now. Bye bye now. It's lovely to see you. Bye.